30% of it, roughly, is coming from retirees because they've changed the regulations where now when you take money out of your 401k or whatever, they're taking retirees' houses, and the guy says he can't do it anymore, even though he's been there 20-plus years. He's a senior, and he's going to have to quit. Well, yeah. And he gives my dad all these documents and stuff, and a lot of it's not even secret or restricted. It's in fact, none of it is. It's stuff like the Grace Commission, but an original copy of it they have at the IRS where all the money goes to offshore banks, none of it to run the country. And he was saying the IRS all over, because the biggest IRS office in the country is based here in Austin, Texas. Big, giant complexes all over the place. I think it's 5-state area. That everybody else has horrible morale because they realize they're only allowed to go after middle class or poor people and retirees. And he said they're taking retirees' houses by the thousands a week. They come through just in the 5-state area where they're taking the houses. I mean, they're throwing retirees out of their houses. And this fella is basically retiree age. And they're understanding, because you know who's coming across their desk? Retired government people are having their houses taken too. Oh yeah, you're going to have everything taken. Let me just give that little message. Yeah, in fact, they just threw an article up about poverty increasing among retirees. Meanwhile, gas prices post rare steep rise in July ahead of war. Latest market glitch shows trading out of control. CNBC, it's not out of control, it's in control. It's the glitches when Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan come in and steal billions at a time. They're allowed to have their computers hooked right into the computers in front of everybody because they run the government. And they know when they're going to drop it and bring it right back up. It's these flip trades they do, and there's different permutations of it. Again, it's just madmen running everything. Flood of errant trades is a black eye for Wall Street. New York Times. Oh, a black eye. Jobless claims increase. Wall Street Journal. Hyper Mario in Germany on the verge of all-out warfare over the fact that they want to basically hyperinflate in Italy, but Germany doesn't want to. Stunning crimes of the big banks, worse than your wildest imaginations. Washington Blog breaks these down. I wish I had time to go over this. And then I have the articles, again, where the IRS is waiting, demanding money on the spot. It's like a grandstanding, as if they can even do that. But that's the idea. That's why they passed a law last year in Louisiana where you can't pay cash for things if they're secondhand. I mean, that's like a prison. You got to buy your stuff from the company store, grapes of wrath, or we're going to throw you out on the highway. I mean, all the old forms of bondage, everything horrible is coming back. And listen, it's by design, and that's why I'm just so freaked out. In my gut, I have never been this concerned. Because once they start the war with Iran and Syria and probably Russia, once they drop the hammer, they're going to blow up stuff all over the country. They've got the police all ready to play the part of heroes. And they're going to say that the domestic groups are working with foreign governments. It won't matter how ridiculous it is. It won't matter if you point out that the Pentagon runs al-Qaeda publicly. A lot of people are just going to get in line, and they're going to march the police and military after the American people. I mean, they're gangsters, folks. They say, we're going to shut down your business if your owner doesn't like same-sex marriage. I mean, these are gangsters. Mayor Bloomberg says he's going to tell you what you're going to eat. Obama has put in government health care, and his buddies are all exempt from having to do it. I mean, it's all so over the top. And it's these crazy, arrogant people. It's like when I caught city people stealing and trying to destroy Access TV 8-9 years ago. I wasn't even really on Access TV anymore, but we still put our tapes in there. And I went in, I could tell while they were shutting it down, I could tell how they were acting. And I said, yeah, I have proof you're stealing money. And they all freaked out and said, no, you better not release that proof. And I kind of, used a cop trick on them to get them to admit they'd done it. And then, of course, I recorded that. And I went, and the city and the police wouldn't do anything because it went to the top of the city. And they were going to pay them all off to let them shut down Access Television just to get me off the air, even though I wasn't even on the air there anymore. And it was in the news, and they sent one guy to prison, the director. But he was just the patsy, and he was out in a couple of years. And it's just like that everywhere. These people don't know how to make things. They don't know how to create things. They just know how to steal stuff. And and again, they don't care that if they rob everybody up front, then no one will produce. They don't care. They'd rather snatch everything, let society collapse, live in an armored neighborhood with police guarding them, and then everything goes to hell in a handbasket, instead of the American system of all people are empowered and freedom and rugged individualism that produces such incredible wealth. And all that's going out the window. And I think about how the globalists have got all this worked out. And it's so transparent if you're informed, but you got to realize the general public is not informed. They know not to trust the government now, and they know they're being lied to. But they don't really have an idea just how bad it is. Or they just feel desperate and disempowered, and they're like, well, what can I do to this system? What can I do? You know, families are having problems. Individuals are having problems. There's record numbers of suicides in the country, but also worldwide. And it's because deep down we know it's a failed system. And deep down, just like birds know 2 days before a hurricane's coming. I mean, they had a big study just came out a month ago. Guys, will you reprint that about science proves magnetic sensors in birds and fish? Of course, humans have them too. That's what the cell phones and stuff are doing to us. All of this electromagnetic stuff is screwing us up. But again, we have those instincts. We have that discernment. We have incredible systems built into us by the Creator. And everyone, if you don't intellectually know, we're in deep trouble. You deep down know it. And so men's wives get desperate. This happens in every culture. And get upset and get angry at their men, thinking that you can fix it if I just get on you. Well, that might work if your husband didn't get up 10,000 years ago and go out and kill a deer and bring it back because your kids were hungry. That might have worked then. That's the woman's instinct. That doesn't work now. We're in an artificial system. And it's designed by people who are inbred, so they're highly aggressive, highly dominant, but inbred, so they got a twist of insanity. And so many of the current policies we live under were developed during major, pretty much across the board, in many cases, congenital syphilis, which makes people insane. So our entire culture is based on inbreeding and syphilitic brain rot. And so the society they've built, which overlays the good that was in humanity, so there's two tracks. There's an overlay of just inbred, syphilitic, Mad Hatter, toxified craziness. More news straight ahead. Stay with us. The worst drought in 50 years continues. The truth is, things have gotten out of control. And it won't be like crises we've seen in past civilizations because the weaponry is so powerful. And the individuals that are in control of things claim they want a world government to end all these wars, but that's not really what's happening. They want to end individual freedom. They want to end sovereignty. They want to end choices. And if the UN ever gets in control, if the globalists ever get in full control, which they're close to doing, they have stated that they will kill the majority of us. And I know that's an incredible statement, but I mean, they've said it literally thousands of times. Doesn't matter. UN biological diversity assessments, State Department Memorandum 200, Ted Turner, Prince Charles, Prince Philip, that's their religion. And how do you get a sitcom, drama TV, watching public to even imagine what they're facing. Even as they're being soft-killed by cancer implanted in vaccines decades before, they still just go off and are killed by the medical system and have no idea that it was done to them in most cases. Just like fluoride. 7-fold increase in men and boys, 3-fold increase in women. New Harvard study looked at over 12 studies from 76 to 2011 and said, yeah, it brain damages you, it gives you cancer. And look, I know I said this yesterday and I said it the day before. It's a big deal, okay? I mean, the people running things knew that in the 20s, folks. There have been thousands of these studies. I always say hundreds because I think, oh, that sounds too big. I'll lie and say less because I don't want it to sound... The only time I lie, folks, and I catch myself doing this, it's involuntary, is when I know the real number and people won't believe it, so I downgrade it. That's what I do. I generally don't exaggerate. And there's not much hyperbole here. Remember Aaron Dykes one time said, I heard you like 10 years ago when I was going to UT say that Madeleine Albright could squat, leg press 600 pounds. And I thought it was a joke. And then I was watching a news show the other day and they showed her doing it. Yeah, no, that was she was bragging about it. I don't know if it's true or not. I mean, the point is, reality is so much crazier than anything I can describe to you. And so I'm just here like you are going, what do we do? I don't want a civil war. I don't want World War III. I don't like the bankers being tax exempt while they're taking retirees' houses after changing laws retroactively to rob them. Makes me angry. Makes me sick at my stomach. Makes me... I don't even know what to say anymore at this point. We're just going to go to break, come back, and then we've got a big guest coming up. And I'm going to try to just sit back and let her go through the exhibits here on air. It's one thing to read these thousands of pages. It's another thing to try to then cover it on air. It's very frustrating. All right. Yeah, I know we're live here, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I know we're live. Thank you for joining me today. We have a very special guest coming up during the next break. And we'll probably have her for like an hour and 20 minutes or so ahead of another guest that's going to be joining us. This stuff started coming in last week, and I've been so busy I haven't had a lot of time to go back over it. But she sent me these documents, I don't know, back in like 1998 or so. And back then, I couldn't show people the documents like I can here with Prisonplanet.tv viewers. But she has all the education codes. She has all the police training manuals. She has all the news articles where they thought the American people were trusting after World War II and would do whatever they were told. So she's got New York Times. She's got LA Times. She's got everything. Photocopies of it, openly announcing the global government, the FEMA regions, the end of the family, UN troops in America. And this is why the old-timers knew all this was coming and people would make fun of them. That was because before people rebelled against it in the 70s and 80s, they openly pushed all this. And I don't even know where to start when she comes on. I mean, they openly train the San Diego Police Department on how to be communist. And this is like in the newspaper. I mean, wait till we go over all this. She's got all these news articles, all these documents, FEMA documents, 7277. And it is just so mind-blowing because their desk, retired government people are having their houses taken too. Oh, yeah, you're going to have everything taken. Let me just give that little message. Yeah, in fact, they just threw an article up about poverty increasing among retirees. Well, yeah. And he gives my dad all these documents and stuff, and a lot of it's not even secret or restricted. It's in fact, none of it is. It's stuff like the Grace Commission, but an original copy of it they have at the IRS where all the money goes to offshore banks, none of it to run the country. And he was saying the IRS all over, because the biggest IRS office in the country is based here in Austin, Texas. Big giant complexes all over the place. I think it's 5-state area. that everybody else has horrible morale because they realize they're only allowed to go after middle class or poor people and retirees. And he said they're taking retirees' houses by the thousands a week. They come through just in the 5-state area where they're taking the houses. I mean, they're throwing retirees out of their houses. And this fella is basically retiree age, and they're understanding, because you know who's coming across. 80% of it, roughly, is coming from retirees because they've changed the regulations where now when you take money out of your 401k or whatever, they're taking retirees' houses, and the guy says he can't do it anymore, even though he's been there 20-plus years. He's a senior, and he's going to have to quit.